Hey guys, King of Charmander's here. Today I'll be a judge, your jury, and your analyst. And just like every 90s movies out there, or like, have you ever seen, I don't know, like, there's a lot, you know, Rush Hour, that's a really great movie. Everything starts in Vegas. I'm back from Las Vegas, guys, and I wanted to make sure I get this data out to you because while I was in Vegas, the data for the top 5 teams for Ultra League Remix released. So I wanted to make sure as soon as I woke up, did my 5, actually no, I did like an 8-mile run a day. I got you guys the data, so make sure y'all like and subscribe because I work really hard for you guys. Anyways, this is the top 5 teams for Ultra League Remix. And it's not really a surprise, a lot of these are XLs, but as I always say, please consider contributing to pvpoke.com. So this is Ultra League Remix. Some of you have already dived into it, and you either like it or hate it. A lot of XLs are viable, but as you see here, a lot of teams do have a ton of XL Pokemon in it. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so team number 5, I'm not going to go too much into it, but I freaking called it. I told you so, you know, I told you so. This was in my top 5 teams. This was actually, I think, my number 1 team because I knew this team would be on this list. It's Jellicent XL, Alolan Ninetales XL, and Scrafty XL. Yay. This Jellicent is in the lead holding Bubble Beam, and then Alolan Ninetales is the Powder Snow variation. I'm guessing, well, not really guessing, but Alolan Ninetales is your switch, but this is kind of, depends on what you feel your opponent has. You can kind of switch with Scrafty as well. It's just up to you. But for most of the time, A9 will be your safe switch in this scenario. There's a lot of plays you can make with this team. It's you could either sacrifice Jellicent, or if you have a really terrible matchup, you have 2 in the back. It's basically 1 Mon, and then you have double coverage against it, because Dark types will fall to Alolan Ninetales, and Scrafty does have a very powerful matchup against Dark types, because Scrafty is a fighting type, fighting and Dark to be exact. Extremely powerful, this team has A for coverage against the Ultra League Remix meta, great bulk, great safety, but it's going to do it's only good for consistency because Hex is kind of slow, but that's basically the only justification. For some odd reason, when you put 3 turn moves in a team, this is what happens. As you see, this team is extremely powerful. It is the number 1 team for Ultra Premier Cup when that was around for the first time, so it's not a surprise that it landed its way into Ultra League Remix. As you see, it does very, very well against a lot of the Ultra League Remix meta. Without any, when you have an A for coverage, you don't have a single Mon that will do very well against all 3 of these Pokemon. Jellicent is the most powerful lead in Ultra League Remix, and it has a very powerful back row covering it. Now, the only problem with this team is that there are XLs around, and also there are things like Stuntank or Ferrothorn that can really core break this team. As you see, Ferrothorn and Stuntank are the 2 biggest core breakers of this team. Along with, I would say Pidgeot can also give you a problem, but it's banned, but yeah, it's banned, so you don't really have to worry about it. Only more so if you see Pidgeot in the lead, but because Pidgeot's banned, you don't have to worry about it. As you see, a very, very low threat score of 593. The low 4 threat score for Ultra League Remix would be about 600, so this team is very, very low threat, and like I said, has 2 very rare weaknesses in Skuntank. Ferrothorn might be a little more popular nowadays, but you can still come out with W's. Ferrothorn and Alolan Ninetales isn't a super bad matchup against Ferrothorn. It can mirror shot you to death, but you can still find win cons as long as Jellicent and Scrafty do have a great matchup against whatever Ferrothorn's paired with. There's always a win condition. That's basically what I have to say. Alright, and team number 4 has another Jellicent lead. The interesting thing about this team is that Jellicent in this team is using Bubble. You have Mandibuzz with Snarl. I like Snarl, but in my opinion, this is me just being picky. I like Air Slash a little better just because of coverage. But this also has Galarian Stunfisk, which happens to be the most powerful safe switch. Another triple XL team. Now, as you see here, number 5, the one that I called before, was at a 0.6% usage. So a lot of people were still using the original team, and it got them a lot of great results because the original team is very well. Team number 4, luckily, isn't too far from team number 5. So as you see here, the most popular team in Ultra Premier Cup, the rating isn't too much different, but you do see that there are a lot of people that were using it at 0.6 and 0.5. That doesn't seem like a lot, but if you look over here compared to all the other percentages, those 2 are pretty high, 0.5 and 0.6. Team number 4 is extremely powerful. As you see here, it's super, super bulky. You know, if you do a lot of squats and you have a really nice butt, this team has a really nice butt. because as you see, it's A for bulk, A for safety, and A for consistency, and a B for coverage. But, you know, when you have 3 A's, you know, it's not quite straight A's like most, so, you know, there's some cultures out there that want you to get straight A's, but sometimes it's just not possible, you know what I mean? With this team, the reason why you have Bubble Jellicent is because of Galarian Stunfisk. As you see, this team does struggle a little bit with Galarian Stunfisk as far as the big meta goes, but with Bubble, you circumvent that, because Bubble, ground is weak to water, and then water, yeah, Bubble Beam Jellicent, so you just bubble everything to death. As you see here, there is a little bit, with a B for coverage, you do have a few things that core break this team, but you're not going to see a lot of Ludicolo, you're not going to see a lot of Greninja. Like I said, we already covered the Galarian Stunfisk, and believe it or not, like Scrafty versus Jellicent, yes, Scrafty has foul play, but with Bubble, it does neutral damage. So we have the choice of sacking Jellicent, and then having Mandibuzz come out, but at the same time, Scrafty can give you a problem, or just fighter types in general. Just because your back row, with Mandibuzz having Snarl, fighting resists dark, so that's basically why this team will struggle a little bit with dark types. Other than that, this team still does extremely well. You have the most powerful lead and safe switch along with Mandibuzz, but this team does still have a pretty medium threat score of 640. But you won't see a lot of Lucario. You could still see Lucario, you probably won't see a lot. Your biggest threats are probably going to be, like I said, dark types and Galarian Stunfisk, or anything Jellicent is weak to. Safe switch into Stunfisk, close out with Mandibuzz, and GG's. Alright, and for team number 3, we have Deoxys Defense XL Double Dark. So this is an ABB team. As you see here, this team was used by a singular individual, most likely at 0.3%, and I can kind of see why, because it's the only team with DD in the lead. But as you see, Deoxys Defense is a top 3 team mon, and it's extremely powerful, as we all already knew it. So Deoxys Defense, as you see, this team has a 583 rating, which is pretty freaking good. In comparison to the other top 3 teams, it's only like 2 points different. That's not a lot. So this team is incredibly powerful. A 20-point jump is a lot, which means this team's going to get you a lot of W's. Like 580, anything close to 600 is like mad good. And if you figure out how to use it, it will consistently likely get you wins. Team number 3, as you see here, is incredibly strong. Not quite as good grades as the rest of them before, just because you have an ABB team. If you do see a Charmer in the back, GG's. And there are still viable Charmers in the Ultra League Remix. But other than that, this team does have great stats across the board, and it's extremely bulky, because you have Deoxys Defense and Mandibuzz in this team. Scrafty XL is also extremely bulky. As you see, this team does extremely well against a lot of the meta, with double coverage against dark types, or pretty much not really dark, but ghost types are really you're going to see the most. You have double dark in this team. You cover Deoxys Defense's weaknesses very well, as you see here. Deoxys Defense also has quite a bit of play against a lot of different mons, just because of how bulky it is. So you can come out, use Psycho Boost plays, or Thunderbolt Rock Slide. It's really up to you, but Deoxys Defense is extremely bulky, and does really, really well. As you see here, like I mentioned, your biggest problem will be Charmers in the back. Charmer 2 shield strats are going to be your worst nightmare, and things like, I don't think you'll see a Sylveon, Gardevoir, etc., but there are things like Granbull, etc., that can still do very well against you, or just existing Charmers, like Alolan Ninetales, because it dodged the bullet. So A9 with Charm will give you an extremely hard time. But other than that, as you see here, if you do happen to not find a Charmer, you do have a lot of play against a lot of teams that are targeting Ghost archetypes, because you do have Double Dark. So this team is extremely bulky and does really well, with a threat score of 656, which is pretty interesting that it has a mid threat score, just because of the fact that you are double weak to Charmers in the back. A Charmer in the back essentially is an auto loss, but despite that, I'm pretty sure there are ways to play out of Charmers, or this team has been able to beat a lot of Charm teams just because of its obscenely good ratings. So this is a very powerful team. Alright, and team number 2, as much stuff. I said Regis would be extremely powerful. I just never expected to have a 580 plus team have a REGIROCK in it. So this is Driplim XL lead, Scrafty XL is your safe switch, REGIROCK to close out. Regis are extremely powerful, and they do mad good in Ultra League Remix. As you see here, this team has a 584 rating, and there is actually a lot more than one person using a REGIROCK on their team. As you see here, because if it's orange, that means like 1 or 2 people are running it, so it's likely one person was doing said usage. But as you see here, 0.5%, there's some a lot more individuals, but you guys are awesome. Whoever's using this team is amazing. But it's very unique, because as you see here, compared to a lot of the other leads, the top 3 teams don't really resonate with the top 10, as in they don't have the same. As you see, there's a lot of Scrafty leads, a lot of Jellicent leads, but The top 3 are 3 different leads compared to the others, like I mentioned. Team number 2 does have Driplim lead. Driplim does win CMP against Jellicent, does do very well against it, and has surprisingly good against a lot of combinations. It's also extremely bulky because it's XL. As you see, that gives it an A for coverage, great bulk, safety, and consistency. Overall, great views for this team. And as you see here, this team is very, very powerful. Driplim with Icy Wind gives a lot of things a lot of problems, and it will beat a lot of Jellicent leads because Driplim does win CMP. Unless you oop and you get baited by a Jellicent and it Shadow Balls you to death, then that kind of sucks. But Driplim is extremely powerful and does technically win against Jellicent, like I mentioned, just because it wins CMP most of the time. Well, it does win CMP, so. As you see against most meta, this double XL team with Regirock in the back is very, very powerful, with your only literal problem being Goodra, which isn't even technically a problem because in the 2 shield, you can Icy Wind, like you give Goodra a problem just for the sheer fact you have Icy Wind, because you could debuff Goodra. I think what really sucks is that if Goodra gets the debuff on you, then it's going to kind of be horrible, because since you're a flying type, you do resist Power Whip. As you see here, Ampharos or electric types can also give you an issue as well. Just because basically whatever beats Driplim in the lead, but like I said, Driplim with Shadow Ball is incredibly powerful. It will hit a lot, and Regirock is one of the most powerful closers in the game. So send out Scrafty, break shields, sweep the floor with Driplim and Regirock, and that's GG's. A very good team with a 620 rating, which is particularly low. Not the lowest in here, but it's still very, very low. And like I said, with Ampharos and Goodra, I don't see a lot of people with Goodra, like Ampharos, etc. But keep in mind, if you do lose the lead with Driplim, say switch into Scrafty, and then try to close out with Driplim and Regirock. Regirock, it's pretty cool to see that a Regirock did make the top 2 in Ultra League Remix. It's pretty nuts. Alright, now the most powerful team. Well, it's not really. Well, it is the most powerful team, like statistically, but the numbers from 1, 2, and 3 aren't too far off. So there's not a huge difference. All 3 teams are still extremely powerful. As you see here, 0.8% usage. So a lot of people are actually using this team, which is very surprising. All it does is it has a 585 rating. So it's, as you see, like there's not too much of a difference when it's a 1 point off. But it is the most powerful team, literally scathing the Regirock team by 0.3 points. So it is the most powerful, but like barely. But a lot of people are using it. Gear O and these two. Gear O is a lot more accessible than a lot of these other combinations in the lead. So it literally just slaps like A9 and Scrafty in the back. But this team is extremely powerful. A for coverage, C for bulk, B for safety, consistency. Literally, this team isn't super bulky just because of Gear Origin. The reason why Gear A is used the most in Ultra League is because the attack and defense stats flip, and because bulk is king in Go Battle League, that's why Gear A has a lot more use and has been so powerful for so long versus Gear O. Gear O is kind of a very special mon. It's extremely powerful, but that's the question of it doesn't really survive a lot of hits, so you have to play it very, very carefully. GIRATINA O, as you see here, does well against a lot of combinations. The interesting thing about GIRATINA Origin is it actually loses. It's bait dependent, but you can lose to Jellicent and to Driplim in the 2 shield. So that's why it's a very interesting mon to like really use. Just because, as you see here, like Jellicent, you will lose. In Driplim's case, as you see here, if you play it, as you see, you do lose the 2 you do almost like, it's almost like dead. Like, this is such a close matchup over here that if they get what, like, this is kind of like, don't count on it. Because, as you see here, you can lose against Driplim if it does get a Hex through. And just with that, other than that, you won't get to the Shadow Ball, basically. It's just going to get to another Ominous Wind. Bing, 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 and then Ominous Wind will take you out. Or that Hex damage, you will never get to use your Shadow Ball, basically. You'll die somewhere around here. Just because that extra Hex that goes through will kill you, because as you see, 3 turns of difference can flip the matchup. Which really sucks, so just be very careful. However, this team is incredibly powerful. 609 rating, so it's on the low spectrum with a very low threat score. However, like I mentioned before, even though this is the most powerful team, it has to be played in a unique way. So I know a lot of people are using it, but my guess is you're using GIRATINA O to sack the lead. So you're using Gear O to break shields, and then you're sweeping with your back throw in A9 and Scrafty. A9 is your safe switch, but like I said, this is basically the Jellicent team with Alola, Ninetales, and Scrafty, just with a Gear O in front. The good thing is if GIRATINA Origins does boost, it does give you a humongous advantage, because 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to have to shield Gear O if it gets that one Ominous Wind boost, because if you played in Master League and you've got boosted on, it probably killed you 9 times out of 10. 9 times, it's killed me a lot 9 times out of 10 if you get the boost. But other than that, this team still is incredibly powerful. And like I said, a Giratina Origins is a lot more accessible. So if you want to use the Jellicent team, you might want to give this one a try if you don't have a Jellicent XL yet. But like I said, do a little bit of practice with it just because because it is a very interesting team. Just because Gira-O isn't super bulky. And like I said, there's kind of a technical curve for it. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Those are the top 5 teams for Ultra League Remix. It's good to see other combinations than full-on XL teams. I mean, full-on XL teams are extremely powerful, but it's good to see some things like Gira-O and REGIROCK still be really good. I was wrong about Giratina Origins. I said it wouldn't be very good. It's just I don't understand it too much in this meta, as you see here, just because Giratina O is the #1 Pokemon. Our #1 team with a Giratina Origins in it. So, it's just I don't understand how the team operates that well, but I can see how it can be really powerful statistically. As you see, there's a lot of good things on this list. Hopefully, you're using one of these teams, or you have found your team for Ultra League Remix. Sadly, beyond the top 10, it looks like XLs do dominate, so Ultra League Remix, as we predicted, is just an XL minefield from hell. But it's good, like I said, to see some different combinations of the non-full XL teams still being able to have a chance and make the top teams for Ultra League Remix. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I did come back from Vegas to make this video as soon as I woke up and worked out, so I make sure I work hard for you guys. And if you do appreciate, please like and subscribe. It's totally free, and you can easily subscribe by putting your mouse over that little box at the bottom right. It will pop up the a sub-tab, and then you can easily click subscribe. Helps me out for my sub goals of 3K subs by the end of the year, and I really do appreciate it. And all my subs that are sub to this day, I appreciate you. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.